On this episode of AV Week, Almo has their very first hybrid event, taking a look at another global distributor and the options that we have within the AV industry. All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 525, recorded Friday, September 10th, 2021. Hybrid Taco.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Atlona, the go-to provider for AV signal distribution and control in corporate, higher education, and residential spaces.
and by
Sure, sound extraordinary.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week. First and foremost, the last time we talked with Haley Dewey, she worked for one company. Now she has joined Harman. So congratulations and welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Also with us is an old friend, not because he's old, because I've known it, but I've known him a long time, Mr. Brock McGinnis from Nationwide up in Canada. Welcome, sir.
Fantastic as always to be here, Tim. It's an honor.
Thank you, sir. Also with us is Sharath Abraham. Sharath is with AVISPL, and I think the last time we talked to him, he was with somebody else too, but that's all right.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to sit down and chat with friends.
Absolutely. And last but not least, by the time this posts, this young man and I will either be elated because the Bears will be undefeated or we'll be crying in our Cheerios. Mr. Bill Stang, just north of me up in Chicago. Welcome, sir.
Good to be here with this all-star cast.
Absolutely. Bill is with Windy City Wire up in Chicago. So first story comes to us from our friends over at actually us, AVNation at our site. Almo Pro AV has gone hybrid. Their first hybrid E4 experience is taking place in Dallas, November 30th, and also is going to right after the Boston experience was postponed in October 20th. E4 Dallas will mark the first time Almo is combining a regional in-person showcase as well as a virtual E4 evolution in a single event. A couple things here. First and foremost, full transparency. Last year, we at AVNation helped Almo do their complete virtual experience. I interviewed a number of subject matter experts for some of their stuff. This year, I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet, but we're probably going to be doing some stuff with the team over at Almo. I mentioned hybrid, and I bring this up this week. I had the opportunity and the honor to interview our AVWeek CEO Dave Labuscus talking about Infocom 2021 happening the 27th through the 29th of October. The term hybrid got brought up. Unfortunately, I am the one who brought it up. This is 100% editorial here, and I don't say this very often. I hate the word hybrid. I don't know why. I hate it like I hated the word huddle 10 years ago. I just, there has to be a better phrase. Brock, I'm going to start with you on this. When we look at this, talk for a second about the evolution of this term hybrid. And I understand it's making sure that folks in person that want to be in person can enjoy the in-person stuff. The folks that aren't there, they can still get the education virtually. When you look at this, does this evolution make sense for our industry, both from a consumption standpoint, but also as a group of people who help put on these types of events from a live event standpoint? Do these hybrid events, does this evolution make sense as the next iteration?
I'm not sure I like the word hybrid either, Tim, but we've been dealing with three kinds of participants in those of us that sell video conferencing. We've been dealing with three kinds of participants for years. There are the people who are in the room. There are the people at the other end of the call, or the remote participants. And then there are, what I used to say to clients were future participants, the asynchronous ones, that might want to be able to view the meeting at a later time. So whatever we call it, hats off to Almo for doing it this way. It's convenient for some people in Dallas to go to their show. But it takes the effort that they're putting into that local show and extending that to all of their customers across the continent live, which is brilliant, right? That's the hybrid thing. But it is also creating an opportunity for someone like me to be able to cherry pick asynchronously or at another time, not live, to be able to cherry pick those sessions and things that I want to be able to listen to. So they're creating content that becomes permanent, and all of the above are real positive things.
Sharath, when you take a look at this, both as Sharath used to work for a manufacturer and now he works for an integrator, both sides of this, Sharath, talk about, what this means. As Brock says, you can connect locally, obviously in person, but also talk about some of the logistics of needing now to staff those folks regionally, remotely. I said that wrong, but staff the folks properly who are connecting virtually. We mentioned the fact that Brock is in Canada. If he is quote unquote attending the Dallas E4 event virtually, then the person that works for, manufacturer XYZ, Brock comes into the virtual showroom and he goes, "Hey, Mr. McGinnis, thanks for joining us. How can I help you?" And they start talking, and then Brock's eventually going to say, "I'd like to have more information to connect locally." The person in Dallas can't connect with Brock, right, in Toronto. So how do you now then staff for a hybrid event or a virtual event?
I think it really comes down to interest, as Brock mentioned, asynchronous and what people are interested in. So me personally, I would send out a survey and say, hey, who's interested in attending this, in Dallas? Because if that's the case, I'll set up some, through travel, you can go, but there might be people that can't go. Say, all right, if you're interested in this, you can go there. And because of AVSPL, I'm not trying to plug us in there, because we're everywhere in terms of America and locations. It actually allows my office to get more in touch with the local office in Dallas as well as an integrator, right? Just like AVSPL, there are plenty of offices with different locations, integrators, different locations. I think what the hybrid event does is it actually allows more communication between different offices for an integrator itself. Meaning, oh, hey, did you go to the Dallas event? And then my New Jersey engineer will like, yeah, I was in this session. And then they can start communication, right? So what that does is instead of just thinking of it as just who's attending what person by person, I think for larger companies such as AVSPL, it allows more communication between different locations. For smaller companies, I think it might allow people opportunities to get out of their comfort zone and give that opportunity to go somewhere. Because I think one thing in the AV industry, there's a lot of extroverts and the introverts. The extroverts will be like, send me to Dallas. I am ready to with my cowboy boots and cowboy hats. But this gives an opportunity to say, hey, are you interested in this event? You can join it virtually. And then next year, that person might be like, hey, can I actually go to Dallas, because I already know the people I met online during the event, and I feel more comfortable around, because I already know the people at the event. So it allows more of a fluid communication. And I think of hybrid as tacos, where you have different options, right? You don't have to eat steak tacos anymore. You got chicken tacos, you got shrimp tacos. So I think the word hybrid, to me, if we're going to take that word out of the out of the mix, let's just say options. Option event. So that's just my I guess take in terms of hybrid, as you would say. So from now on, Tim, I'm never going to say hybrid. I'm just going to say options.
I'm going to say tacos, dude. You bet. I like that one better. Good Lord. And if you've never been on AV Week, understand we record this on Friday around lunchtime. So Sharath, just like I'm going to have tacos after this. Thank you, Sharath.
Nice. You're welcome.
Ailey, you've got a couple different places in your career, but the last two stops, including the one here, is all manufacturing. So talk for a second about the differences between connecting with somebody, like Sharath said, in person as opposed to virtual or hybrid or tacos.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I have to say, I like the word hybrid. So I'm sorry, I just have to say that. Like, I can't think of a better word. I like options, but hybrid's the best word in my view. Something that I've seen as someone who has worked events both virtually and in person, when there is some kind of virtual presence at a trade show. So this is primarily the event that I'm kind of thinking about right now when we talk about events. When I'm working an event virtually, I am able to get to my colleagues quicker who the person at that booth needs to speak to. Sometimes it's me. Often it's not. I've worked for some large manufacturers. People sometimes will visit our booth virtually from a country far, far away. And that person who they need to speak to wouldn't have been at that event in person necessarily anyway, domestically, or in North America, I should say. So I actually see a huge advantage there because a hybrid event will draw more people outside of that territory where the event is happening, and it gets people connected a lot faster. You know, when I was doing events only in person and the events were fully in person, it would I'm not going to lie, I'm just going to admit it. It would take me a few days to get to the person that the person who visited the booth needed to talk to, because I got really busy and I had meetings until midnight, and then I forgot, and I had found their business card on the flight home, and I'm like, oh snap, Jim, I'm so sorry. You need to talk to this person. So I actually really like the hybrid method for events.
All right. Bill, same question here. You've done a number of events, including our friends over at Commercial Integrator. Their event had to get moved to virtual last year. First time I met Bill was in person at that Commercial Integrator event. Good Lord, 10, I don't know, 8 or 9
Many
years ago
moons
now.
ago.
A long time ago.
Many tacos ago.
I had less gray hair then. How about that? So
was
talk for
shorter.
a second. Same thing with Ailey. You know, the strategies, right, of connecting hybrid versus connecting in person when it comes to some of these events.
You know, I think one thing we've learned the last 18 months is it's harder virtually. It's just, you get fatigued. I mean, we learned that very quickly with the amount of webinars we were trying to push out there right away. It's not the way that we want to engage, especially in this industry. I mean, if you go to Infocom shows and you even see it live, it's just a more engaging audience. And you know, I think we all genuinely like to get together and you know, see each other. But you know, one thing I will say about hybrid, I'm going to agree with Haley. I do like the word itself, but you know, I think it gives an opportunity to people who just can't attend these shows. That's, I think, the most important part of it. There's a lot of young folks just within our company that want to learn more about the industry, but they can't do that besides their engagement day to day on the phone or on Teams calls with people. And that's why often we're taking people on the road with some of the senior reps to get to know people and see how it operates. So I think there's certainly value in it, that you can get some of the younger people in your organization on the horn with people to learn more about manufacturers or, you know, anything else in this industry that could be important in their career.
I think it must be a real challenge for you though, Bill, because your product lends itself so well to the physical demo and the physical, and I've been taken through your product and you know, we roll out wire this way and we label this way, and here's the difference between our jackets, and that was one of the best things about meeting you and your team at shows, was that you could show me the difference between Windy City and your competitors, and how do you overcome that virtually? How has it evolved that you can explain that over the internet?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we've done over the last couple of years has been over Teams, just like everyone else. But again, there's fatigue that comes with that. But I think Sharath will tell you this: we're pretty active. You know, we're still jumping on planes all the time and going. Of course, we're doing things safely and responsibly. But for those who will see us, we're still going to go do it. We always, if there's no trade shows in 10 years, we're still going to be jumping on planes and going to see people weekly and keeping engaged with our customers, because you can't find mentors on Zoom or Teams, in my opinion. And you can't, the same way you can't find great customers and new partners on this type of format. You got to be out there shaking hands and giving hugs.
You know what this allows, though? This whole pandemic, I think, allows AV, specifically marketing, and product development, the ability to hire people or as I would say, younger generation from college that's showcasing their products on platforms like Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, right? Because I'll go through TikTok and I'll end up Googling 14 things I want to buy by the end of the time I'm done scrolling, right? Because there are so many clever ways that you can still showcase your products virtually from anywhere, right? I think half the products I bought aren't even from America. They're from like Germany. I bought this wallet the other day that just looked so cool from Germany, which I would have never Googled myself and I would never find in a store going to the mall in person, right? So I think because of hybrid events, it'll allow the AV industry to look elsewhere and look at different skill sets now for marketing,
Yes.
for virtual events, for all these different types. It's not the normal cookie cutter. I need a marketing person to run a trade show, or I need a marketing person for my company to do this. Now you can hire one person for that and one person for online marketing and online videos and online training. Because if you have someone fresh out of college who's been doing TikTok for the last 3 years, they can do your whole year worth of marketing and not even do one virtual event. So then you save money on hybrid events. You're just paying this person to do TikToks all day.
Just to interject, Bill, there's one point that you mentioned that I just wanted to kind of argue against, I suppose, just because I've had the somewhat unique experience, and I'm just realizing it right now, to blossom, so to speak, in the AV industry during the pandemic. Before that, I was focused more on live sound, and before that, I was focused more on studio work. And all of my mentors, nearly all of them, even a new one that I have here at Harman that I've got so quickly and I'm very thankful for, and almost all of my customers were met, initially at least, virtually. And I found that I really do enjoy, never as much as in person. As you guys can tell, I'm an extrovert, right? But I really enjoy doing virtual pitches and making them awesome. And I've met a lot of great customers virtually, and I still haven't met many of them yet. I will, of course, and the goal will be to, but just during this time where I can't, or it's not as easy, I've met a lot of amazing people, and I like this virtual way, I have to say.
Maybe I'm becoming one of the old dogs of the industry, and just I'm not getting up to speed with being virtual and online with people as quickly.
Nothing beats in person, though. I will say that.
Yeah.
Download TikTok this weekend, Bill. And
what is it? Can you spell
download TikTok? TikTok, T-I-K.
With a C or a K? Got it.
I think it's 2 Ks, right? Yeah. And then you can curse me on Monday morning when you've spent your entire weekend looking at TikTok.
Yes.
You'll end up on a TikTok just for raccoons as pets.
I've seen that one. Megan Dutta turned me on to that one. So
she put me on that too.
Yeah. Justin Fields, I'm sure, has a TikTok, Bill. So just do that, right? Just Justin Fields, if you're not familiar, is the new rookie quarterback for the Bears. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I still hate the word hybrid, but I agree with you on the rest of that. And Haley, I will now that you mention it, I will agree with your blossoming during the pandemic, because I first met Haley damn near almost 2 years ago around this time. She worked for Sennheiser at the time. I happened to be in Hanover when she and a bunch of her cohorts were as well. And then obviously 2 years, the pandemic was pretty much 6 months after that. So
yeah, and I had just started on that AV team right then. So
thanks so much for watching this first segment of AV Week. To check out the rest of the episode for free, click on the link below or go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.